Have you ever been feeling that while you fight in silence, is something bigger moving behind the scenes? You may be crossing days when silent obedience seems in vain, and invisible fidelity seems to go unnoticed. But what if I told you that it is precisely at these times that the whole sky is working in your favor? Few people understand that before the supernatural promotion happens, there is an intense inner preparation happening. It's as if God is aligning everything, people, situations, and even an unknown benefactor to surprise you when you least expect it. Best of all, this spiritual transformation you are living now is the prelude to a prophetic destination that goes far beyond your bolder dreams. If you feel that you are being shaped in the hidden, continue with me. Because in this video, you will find out how your story is about to change radically, so naturally that it can only be explained by divine intervention. Get ready, an unexpected blessing is on your way, and it will not come to bless you, it will come to impact many people through you. Sometimes life looks like a doldrums, as if nothing is happening, isn't it? But behind the scenes, God is weaving a perfect plan. His silent obedience, the one that no one sees, only you and God, is being noted in heaven. Make no mistake, every invisible fidelity gesture is an important piece in its divine alignment. It's like planting a seed on dry land. At first, it looks like nothing happens, but at the right time, the sprout appears. You know those moments when you wanted to scream, "God, I'm here, remember me?" That's right, that you are being shaped for something big. While it seems that nothing changes outside, spiritual transformation happens in the deepest of your being. And it is this inner preparation that will support you when the divine reward comes. No wonder the process is silent, it is, so that the noise does not distract you from what really matters. Many give up at this point because they confuse God's silence with rejection. But if you pay attention, you will notice small signs, doors that close, people who move away, internal changes you didn't even know you needed. This is the process of spiritual maturity. You are being tuned for what comes. Remember, God promotes in the secret before exposing in the public, and he never delayed. Virtually every great biblical character went through this stage. Think of David before being king. He was faithful pastoring anonymous sheep. Silent obedience is the essay for the coronation. And the interesting thing is that while no one applauds, the whole sky is already celebrating its invisible fidelity. It may seem insignificant now, but in God's eyes, it is a great spectacle. So if today you feel that you are still, know that you are actually being positioned. God is aligning people, resources, and opportunities so that at the right time, everything fits like in a perfect puzzle. Stay firmly on your collective mission, even if it still looks small. Because when supernatural promotion comes, it will be impossible not to recognize God's hand in its history. And here is a practical tip to maintain your spiritual sensitivity. Create a diary of promises and small miracles. Write down every little prayer answer, every deliverance, every open door. This will help you see that even in the invisible, God has always been working. And very soon, your silent obedience will be transformed into a public reward that will impact lives around you. Do you know that help that comes from where you least expect it? That's what we're talking about here. When you maintain invisible fidelity and silent obedience, God prepares someone, an unknown benefactor, to cross your way at the exact moment. This person does not appear by chance. He is part of the divine alignment that was already being designed while you persevere in faith. None of this is coincidence, it is fulfillment of purpose. Often the unknown benefactor has no idea that he is being used by God. He simply feels a boost of helping, investing, opening a door. And your responsibility is to recognize the spiritual move behind the action. Spiritual sensitivity here is fundamental. You need to discern that it is not just luck or goodwill, it is fulfilling a word released upon your life. And when this happens, it's like the sky said, "I heard your prayers." Perhaps your benefactor will bring a professional opportunity, valuable advice, a missing feature, or even a simple gesture of recognition. Do not limit your expectation. God specializes in using unlikely means to do what he has promised. Open the heart and keep the inner preparation active, because the answer is often packed so simply that it goes unnoticed by the distracted eyes. Want a practical tip? Begin now to pray for divine connections. Ask God's spiritual sensitivity to recognize who He is sending. A powerful prayer you can say is, Lord, prepare my heart to recognize the instruments in your favor and give me wisdom to honor every door that the Lord opened. Sometimes the difference between taking advantage or losing blessing is the spiritual maturity of seeing beyond appearance. And when the benefactor arrives, remember, treat him not with idolatry, but with gratitude and honor. The human favor is a tool, not the source. The source is God, who uses who He wants, the way He wants. Therefore, all glory and recognition must return to Him. This keeps His heart aligned, avoids pride, and makes room for new supernatural promotions in His way. Prepare as long as you read these words. God may already be moving someone in your favor. Best of all, He won't send anyone, but someone aligned with the prophetic fate He has planned for you. So keep yourself faithful in the collective mission, because the arrival of the benefactor is just a piece of the great puzzle that is forming in your life. Before leading you to a new level, God needs to break some old structures, and let's be honest, this is rarely comfortable. The spiritual transformation He performs is not only geographical, changing the external environment, but begins internally, in His values, priorities, and habits. Often, this inner preparation includes painful breakups, forced resumes, and deconstructions you have not asked, but are absolutely necessary for your divine alignment. When God allows certain relationships, jobs, or even old dreams to collapse, it is because He is making room for something infinitely greater. Think about it as a pruning. It is painful, but essential for healthy growth. You may even feel betrayed, rejected, or forgotten, but you are actually being refined to carry responsibility that requires spiritual maturity and emotional stability. Without this transformation, the next level would be unsustainable. Want a practical example? If you have always wanted to lead, but still get annoyed or sorrow, how to support the pressure to take care of many lives. The complete transformation works exactly at these points. It is no use God to open doors that His inner preparation cannot yet cross. Therefore, He acts first within you, stretching His ability to love, forgive, persist, and discern, all silently, behind the scenes of His history. One practice that can accelerate its maturity process is the constant reading of the Bible, especially books such as Proverbs and James. They offer practical advice for emotional and spiritual growth. Another tip is to seek spiritual mentoring. Talking to someone more experienced can reveal areas you can't see yourself. Do not be afraid to be confronted. Sometimes it is in confrontation that the deepest spiritual transformation happens. And you know what is the secret to crossing this phase without discouraging? Trust. Understand that each deconstruction is a sign that you are being shaped to something beyond your imagination. The process is painful, yes, but the divine reward comes with a structure that you would never have built alone. The invisible fidelity you demonstrate now is what will guarantee open doors in the future, in the right time, the right way, by the right hands. If today you feel that you have lost some important basis, celebrate. It may seem crazy, but this is a sign that God is in full movement. Full transformation can be silent to human eyes, but in the spirit world, it is noisy and glorious. Keep allowing God to work. Therefore, the new structure He is forming in you will be the foundation of a supernatural promotion and a collective impact that will echo far beyond your personal history. When God decides to elevate you, it is no coincidence and not for mere status. Just as Joseph was taken from prison to the palace, and Esther from obscurity to the throne, supernatural promotion is loaded with responsibility. His inner preparation, His invisible fidelity, and His spiritual transformation were actually training for the approaching collective mission. Nothing was wasted. Every tear, every renunciation, every silence was a seed for this new time. The change will be sudden for those looking out, but for you, who knows the process, it will be the natural result of divine alignment. It is like a rubber band being pulled back for a long time. When it loose, it fires with strength and accuracy. Therefore, it is not surprised if the doors open in an almost unbelievable way. Your supernatural promotion is not just for your personal benefit, but for the fulfillment of a greater prophetic destination than you think. At this new level, spiritual sensitivity needs to be your best friend. For not every opportunity will be a door opened by God. Some will be distractions. Therefore, pray constantly asking for discernment. And remember, the promotion is not the arrival, it is the beginning. Now, more than ever, you will be called to serve, influence, and transform lives. Your collective impact will be a natural extension of the preparation you have lived here. Want a practical exercise for this new phase? Ask God daily, Lord, who the Lord wants me to serve today? This simple question adjusts your perspective and prevents elevation from becoming superb. Great leaders, such as Nehemiah and Daniel, remained faithful because they understood that they were there to fulfill specific missions, not to seek personal glory. True greatness is to recognize that every position is a platform to serve. Also prepare yourself emotionally. The greater the mission, the greater the resistance. The responsibility of the blessing requires maturity to deal with criticism, ingratitude, and challenges. But it also brings the incomparable joy of seeing lives being restored, families being achieved, and dreams being awakened through their yes. Do not underestimate the scope of what God will do through you. A life aligned with divine purpose is a powerful weapon in the hands of the Creator. Therefore, keep in constant divine alignment, with humility and gratitude. Don't miss the simplicity that brought you here. Remember, Joseph continued to be a servant even with the ring of authority on his finger. Esther continued fasting even though she was queen. They knew their promotion had a collective goal. And now, you will also know your history of silent obedience will become a collective impact testimony that will echo for generations. When the doors begin to open, it will be tempting to think that it all depends only on their strength or their skills. But in fact, it will be its spiritual sensitivity that will determine which doors to cross. Not every invitation will be a divine alignment. And that's where many lose their focus. They confuse movement with progress. Supernatural promotion needs to be accompanied by spiritual discernment, so that you do not exchange prophetic destiny for gold distractions. Spiritual sensitivity is cultivated. It is not something that simply happens. She is tuned in the secret, constant prayer, meditation of the Word, and the ability to hear God's little whispers in the middle of the rush. A powerful practice to develop this is to start the day by asking, Lord, what do you want me to see today that my natural eyes do not realize? It sounds simple, but this question opens the mind and spirit to perceive invisible movements. Another important point is to understand that human insistence does not move the sky. You may force doors, but if they have not been opened by God, you will carry weights that should not carry. One of the greatest brands of those who have spiritual maturity is knowing how to wait for the right time. And here is a secret: when it is God who opens, peace is abundant, even if the challenge is great. When you are forcing, anxiety never leaves you alone. Want a practical tip to further tune this sensitivity? Make a murmur. For 7 days, consciously decide not complaining about anything and, instead, thank you for everything. This adjusts your heart to hear God's voice more clearly. It sounds simple, but it is deeply transformative. Gratitude is like a spiritual antenna that better captures the directions of heaven. Remember, blessing out of time can turn weight. A promotion before maturity can destroy what should be a collective impact platform. Invisible fidelity has brought you here, and now it is the spiritual sensitivity that will support you in the new environments. Keep your ears attentive, your eyes open, and your heart aligned. Not every yes is from God, and sometimes the no you respect today save your future tomorrow. And if you at some point you feel lost among so many options, remember that peace is the referee. Colossians 3:15 teaches us, "May the peace of Christ be the judge in their hearts." When the doubt arises, stop. Oregon, wait. It is not lack of faith, it is spiritual maturity. Anyone who has learned to obey in the hidden will also know how to wait in the visible. And it is this refined sensitivity that will keep you at the center of God's will, where blessing never brings pain, only growth. It is easy to believe that the blessing God is bringing is only to alleviate our pains and realize our personal dreams. But in fact, there is a much greater purpose in all this. Its supernatural promotion is a key piece in the collective impact plan that God designed. You will be blessed, of course, but it will be, above all, a channel of spiritual transformation for many other lives that await, still unknowingly, for your silent obedience. Understanding this changes everything. You begin to see your features, your influence, time, and your connections as tools to serve. It is not about having it, it is about multiplying. It is not about receiving applause, it is about generating fruits that remain. The superior purpose of the blessing is divine alignment between what you receive and what you deliver. When you use your victory to lift others, you enter a current of continuous promotion in the kingdom of God. Want a practical exercise? Make a list of 3 ways you could still be an answer to someone today. It can be a word of encouragement, practical help, or even a secret prayer. When you activate this collective mission with small gestures, you are showing that you are worthy of greater responsibilities. And God, who sees in the hidden, promises to reward in public not as exchange, but as spiritual recognition. It is also important to prepare the heart to deal with ingratitude. Not everyone who is blessed through you will recognize or thank you, and that's fine. Your focus needs to be in your role before God, not in the reaction of people. Serving is a privilege, not a bargaining chip. When you understand this, the spiritual transformation you promote on others come back to you in the form of peace, growth, and new open doors. Another reminder: influencing lives does not require a large platform, but an available heart. Sometimes the biggest collective impact happens in the most discreet conversations, the simplest gestures, in the most silent attitudes. Don't expect to have millions of followers to start turning the world around you. The true prophetic destiny is fulfilled in everyday life, in the ordinary, through ordinary people who decide to be extraordinarily faithful. And never forget, the mission God has entrusted to you is unique. No one can fulfill it in its place. Therefore, celebrate every advance, but keep aware that the true divine reward is not what you accumulate, but what you leave as a spiritual legacy. And this legacy, my friend, will be built step by step in the silent mission that only you can live. Before God gives you a great mission, He first works in building your interior. After all, what's the point of having open doors if you are not emotionally and spiritually prepared to cross them? The process of inner preparation is like the founding of a building, invisible, but absolutely essential for the structure to stand. It is in this silence that invisible fidelity is tested and that spiritual transformation is realized. It is no exaggeration to say that inner preparation is the longest step in the process. As long as everyone runs to appear, God teaches you to stay. While many want spotlight, God calls you to the secret room. And there, in the deepest conversations with Him, in the internal struggles that no one sees, you are shaped to support responsibilities that will impact not only your life, but an entire collective mission. Want to know a practical exercise to strengthen this preparation? Start every morning with a delivery prayer. Something simple and deep, like, "Lord, prepare my character to support the blessing I am asking." And then, be willing to be confronted in small attitudes, patience in traffic, honesty in small details, willingness to serve without being seen. Each little victory is an extra brick in this inner fortress. Another vital point is to work on emotional maturity. You will deal with rejections, criticism, and expectations that try to destabilize you. Books like Peter Scazzero's Emotionally Healthy can help you develop this internal solidity. It's not about being cold, but being firm. To have a sensitive heart to God, but the trained mind not to give in to destructive emotionalism. Inner preparation is also knowing how to balance love and firmness. And here is a truth that can sound uncomfortable: God is not in a hurry. While we want to run, He wants to consolidate. Because He knows that open doors without inner preparation are pitfalls disguised as blessing. If you feel you are taking, celebrate. It is a sign that God loves you too much to expose you ahead of time. He prefers to delay the blessing to lose you halfway. Therefore, do not despise the days of small beginnings. Every challenge you face today is polishing your spirit, aligning your motivations, and strengthening your foundations. What God is building on you is eternal, and the inner preparation that seems so hidden now will be what will support the blessings, open doors, and the collective impact that are about to arrive. Stay firmly. Your interior is your greatest treasure. At the right time, God moves pieces that you didn't even know existed to create connections and open supernatural doors. It is amazing how, suddenly a person crosses his way, an unexpected opportunity arises, or a situation changes completely. But none of this is coincidence. They are the results of divine alignment that was prepared during their invisible loyalty time and inner preparation. It is important to remember that divine connections are not just for your personal advantage. They exist for the fulfillment of the collective mission that God has entrusted you. So when a new connection appears, ask, how can I serve here? This mindset keeps you in tune with God's plan. Open doors are opportunities for spiritual expansion, not just human success steps. Spiritual maturity is to recognize this. Want a simple practice to live this reality? Start praying daily, Lord, connect with people aligned with your purpose for my life. And be aware, sometimes the most important connections are disguised as simple conversations, casual encounters, or even uncomfortable situations. The spiritual sensitivity you have developed will help you discern when it is God who is acting behind the scenes. A warning: not every open door is a certain door. Some doors are tests, not access. Therefore, never forget the importance of discernment. A practical tip is to consult God before accepting any invitation, opportunity, or partnership. He is the greatest interested party. You walk at the center of your will. What is His brings peace, clarity, and purpose, even if it comes with challenges. When you recognize and embrace the supernatural connections and doors with wisdom and humility, the favor increases. Because God knows that you understand the purpose of what He is giving you. What's more, each person achieved through his new position is another chapter in the great book of collective impact He is writing with His story. Prepare yourself, because the connections and doors that are about to open go beyond your expectation. People you never imagined, places you didn't even dream, projects you wouldn't dare to plan. All of this is on God's radar. Best of all, you don't have to force. Just walk with spiritual sensitivity, gratitude, and maturity. God is already postponing everything in the invisible so that at the right time you simply enter. What God is doing in your life is not just for you, it is for many. Your personal victory will be a response to silent prayers of people you don't even know yet. There is a collective impact reserved for its history that goes beyond its ability to imagine. God has shaped you in secret to now use you in public, as an instrument of hope, healing, and spiritual transformation for those who are at the limit of discouragement. The most beautiful is that you will not always see the full range of what you are generating. A word of encouragement, an attitude of faith, a simple presence in difficult times can rekindle the faith of someone about to give up. You become a living extension of God's love, a channel through which the divine reward overflows to reach others. And that doesn't depend on great stages, it happens in everyday life, in a quiet and powerful way. Want a practical example of collective impact? Think of someone who was fundamental in your spiritual walk. Now imagine that this person didn't even know how much you marked you. Similarly, many will be touched by your testimony without you immediately. Therefore, always walk with purpose. Every step of yours, every decision aligned with the sky, has the potential to change the trajectory of whole lives. And make no mistake, collective impact is not about quantity, but about quality. Sometimes it profoundly transforms the life of a single person, generates a domino effect that reaches generations. God is not impacted as the world measures. So even if you feel that your steps are small, if they are within divine alignment, they carry eternal weight. Does not underestimate the silent influence of faithfulness. A powerful practice to expand its impact is intercession. Pray regularly by those whom God puts in your way. Even if you do not see immediate results, in the spiritual world seeds are being planted. prayer is a silent and effective weapon to generate mass spiritual transformation. Each person you reach directly or indirectly is part of the collective mission God has entrusted you with. Always remember your supernatural promotion is not the end of history, but the beginning of a journey of service and influence to the kingdom of God. And this journey, lived with invisible fidelity and spiritual sensitivity, will produce fruits that will remain for eternity. You have been shaped for much more than a personal victory. You were chosen to leave marks that time can never erase. Now that the blessing is coming or has begun to manifest, it's time to understand something fundamental. Blessing brings responsibility. God does not elevate you only to give you comfort, but to turn you into an agent of spiritual transformation in the world. Everything you received, every connection, every open door, each favor, carries the responsibility of being used to expand the kingdom of God and impact lives with love, justice, and hope. It is very easy, after being blessed, falling into the trap of self-indulgence or subtle pride. Therefore, maintaining invisible fidelity and active inner preparation is even more important after supernatural promotion. Each new achievement must be followed by a question: Lord, how can I use it to glorify and serve you better? This attitude keeps your heart in the center of divine alignment and ensures that blessing remains a life channel, not an end in itself. A powerful practice to live this responsibility is to adopt the habit of intentional generosity. Don't expect to be rich to be generous. Start now, the way you can. What you have: time, knowledge, resources may be the answer to someone's cry. Generosity is one of the main signs of spiritual maturity and is also a way of keeping supernatural doors continuously open about your life. Another practical tip: establish projects on purpose. How about separating a percentage from your earnings to bless social projects, missions, or people in need? Or spend a few hours of your time to teach, advise, or encourage others. The responsibility of the blessing is continuous. The more you deliver, the more God trusts. It is not about changing favors with the sky, but understanding that you are now part of a much larger collective mission. And get ready to be a reference, even if you have not sought it. People will look at your life, your choices, your reactions, and you will have the opportunity, precious and challenging, to point to God in each achievement. As Corinthians 10:31 says, so whether you eat, drink, or do anything else, do everything to the glory of God. The responsibility of the blessing is, in the end, to live in such a way that glory is never ours, but of Him. So when you receive new opportunities, remember you were chosen for more. The collective impact that began with its silent obedience will now multiply. Every act of generosity, every word of encouragement, every decision aligned with God's heart will be like seeds planted on fertile soil. And the fruits of this plantation will surpass generations, witnessing to the world that a life aligned with God's purpose carries eternal power. And now, tell me, are you ready to live all this for which you have been silently prepared? The doors are opening, the connections are already being aligned, and the unexpected blessing that seemed so distant is already on the way, ready to transform your life, and, through it, many others. But remember, what you will do with this blessing will define the impact your story will have on the world. Will you just enjoy it, or will it also serve? Will you just celebrate or multiply? These are questions that are worth gold to those who want not only to be promoted, but remain true to the superior purpose. I now invite you to apply everything we say, practice spiritual sensitivity, value each inner preparation, and use every new opportunity to be a channel of God's love and hope. Your life was designed to echo forever, not to end in itself. And if you want to walk even deeper into this journey of spiritual growth and purpose, subscribe to the channel and enable notifications. We have a lot of content coming directly from God's heart to strengthen you, inspire you, and drive you into this wonderful mission of living in your call.